Good afternoon, race fans. Welcome here as we get ready for race number 33 on the season, the first season of the NNSCRA Duracell Cup Series. We are getting ready here to begin our third round of the chase for the championship. Last week, we whittled the playoff field down from 12 to 8. And now 8 drivers will battle here in this third round. These 3 races with an opportunity to make it into the Final Four to compete for the championship in the season finale at Homestead Miami Speedway. Zach Rogers, Jesse Turner, Carter Friesen, Benny Watson, Chris Dollerton, Dylan Poteet, J Shelton, and Carson Gum all managed to advance here to this round. And this is the round that I basically call the round of adaptation, situation, and conservation, because here today, the adaptation part, we are at Boston International Speedway. This track a little over a mile in length, and it is the first time that these drivers have ever taken to this track. As a matter of fact, it's only the second time that I believe this track has ever debuted on this channel. The first time, if I recall correctly, was back during I want to say it was an Oreo Truck Series race, but I might be wrong with that information. It was either that or it was a Hershey's Cup Series race. Actually, I think it was a Hershey's Cup Series race, but I don't remember what season it was, and I think that's the only time we've ever been to this racetrack. This track is definitely going to be a very interesting one as well, because we've seen how the first race of a round in the playoffs has really, in a way, played a factor into who makes it into the next round and who doesn't. You remember back to the first round, Kyle Matthews had an issue in the first race. He was never able to get out of the cellar of the points, and he got eliminated in the first round. You go back to our most recent second round, you had Mitchell Collins and Jordan Lopez. They had issues at Hillside in the first race of that round. Both of them got eliminated at the end of that round, and so, you know, if one of our 8 playoff contenders has issues here today, they could find themselves in an early elimination from competing in the Final Four.
Drivers, start your engines.
Command is given as the pole sitter for today's race is Johnny Gardner. Gardner, last 2 weeks, has finished in second. He finished second to Diego Yepez at the road course of Lime Rock, and last week at Arizona, he finished in second place to the eventual race winner, Matthew Rodriguez. So not wanting to be a bridesmaid again, we'll see what he can do from the inside of the front row. I believe this is Johnny Gardner's second pole of the season. His first one all the way back to the Great American Race, Daytona 500. He didn't start that race on the front row, had to give up the spot due to having to go to a backup car, but he is still credited as the Daytona 500 pole sitter. You guys saw what the playoff grid looks like coming into this race. Looked the same as what it looked like when we left Arizona last week. Let's roll at Boston. "75 laps here today as Johnny Gardner leads the way. Carson Gum into second. It just moved into the highest running playoff driver as he passed J Shelton. And you saw some drivers on the bottom, some drivers up on the top side. As this race progresses, that outside line might actually come into play. Johnny Gardner way up the track, as was Carson Gum there in 1 and 2. That is such a difficult corner, and I'll explain to you in a minute why, as Trent Dunham will go to the race lead. Now let me show you why. Let's take an onboard with Trent Dunham. Watch how the car drives down into turn 1. See that dip right there? That dip into turn 1, the car has to settle before you can get back to the throttle, and it really can mess with the handling. Cars get really tight going into that corner with that drop down. It's almost kind of like the drop down you'd have at Dover or something. And it's all about who makes it through there the best. As William Brock, 3-time winner, he's going to lead a lap. Oh, he went way up the corner. Trent Dunham almost into his left rear quarter panel, and Benny Watson will now go to the race lead. Now you got playoff contenders 1 and 2, Watson and Shelton. Both of them would love to get up there, lead a lap, get themselves a bonus point, as Shelton peeks to the inside on Watson, who did manage to lead that lap. Can Benny Watson keep his car under him there as he's on the high side? Nope. Car drifts up the track and almost drifted into V Almariego. That was a close call for second place. Shelton now going to go to the race lead, as the battle will be for second behind her. Well, now it's on for third between LaPlante and V Almariego. And now Benny Watson, a little deja vu. He says, all right, Jess, you put me on the high side last lap. I'll put you on the high side this lap. As now Benny Watson looks to go back to the race lead. Shelton trying to get that run on the top side. Looks like there was a little bit more grip for her up there this time. So as the race is progressing, looks like the high side's getting a little bit more rubber, a little bit more grip over in 3 and 4. And the caution is out. Caution is out for the first time today. Are we racing back, or is the caution already taken? Looks like we are racing back. And Austin LaPlante going to try and take the race lead away from the 75 and lead us under our first yellow. Looks like he will succeed in doing so as they will drive through the smoke, taking the yellow flag. Whoa, look out. Benjamin Miles has not gotten the car refired. Oh, boy. Slower cars there, Dylan Poteet and Levi McIntire. And Carter Friesen. That's 2 playoff drivers right there. Poteet the 31, Friesen and the 37. Our Daytona 500 winner. And remember, we said you don't want to get off to a bad start here in the first race of this round. Carson Gum, another playoff driver with issues. I saw Charles Sandfer with damage. Last week's winner, Matthew Rodriguez, has damage. Zach Rogers, I think, has got some damage. Damage on the rear of his Dodge. Ryan Butcher, James Qualls, they've got some damage on their cars. Jesse Turner, another playoff driver. That's at least 4 playoff contenders right there with Friesen, Poteet, Rogers, and Turner, as well as Carson Gum. So that's 5 of our 8. 5 of our 8 playoff drivers with issues here, and we haven't even made it 10 laps into this race. So right now, Watson, Shelton, and who would be the other one? Dollerton. They're the only ones right now that look like they've got a really good shot at making it into the Final Four. Of course, a lot could happen next week at Talladega. Always a wild card race, and at the tire-eating Rockingham, but still. Man, Austin LaPlante leads us here under our first caution, and it's a big one here at Indianapolis. Wow, this is not Indianapolis, this is Boston International Speedway. Coming off turn 4, this was teammates. Carson Gum, the 19, and James Shelly in the 71. Shelly's going to hook Carson in the left rear quarter panel right in front of Charles Sandfer, and then watch this. As Matthew Rodriguez gets into the 0-3, it's just going to completely blockade up the entire track, and nobody was on the brakes. There's Jesse Turner, make that Dylan Young, J Millz, Friesen, Miles, Butcher, Qualls. I think Ryan Brommer might have gotten on the brakes quickly enough. Same for Diego Yepez. Dylan Poteet, I don't know if he got through it or not. Actually, I think he did, as did Levi McIntire. So actually, only 4 of our playoff contenders really had issues here. Now, Carson Gum was down on the apron, stuck again. I don't know what happens to him afterwards. See if we can find out. Oh! Well, he had crossed the line in the 25th position, so I think what he was doing was he was trying to get back up there to where he was supposed to be. When the caution came out, the drivers had not yet crossed the line, and where they crossed the line when they spun out is where they were supposed to line up. And Carson Gum tries to go on the apron. Car doesn't stick down there, runs straight into the back of Jesse Turner, who then runs into the back of Zach Rogers, and then he gets clobbered by Charles Sandfer and begins barrel rolling through turns 3 and 4. So we had a wreck out of turn 4, and then we had a couple of plows in turn 3 the following lap. And like I stated, 4 of our playoff contenders now with damage, 3 of them probably out of the race, those being Carson Gum, Jesse Turner, and Carter Friesen. We'll have to see about the damage sustained by the 6 of Zach Rogers. As no doubt about it, first laps of this race at Boston definitely playing a huge factor into probably who might make it into the Final Four and who might not. Green flag about to come back out here on lap 12 of 75. Austin LaPlante leads us back to the green as Benjamin Miles is trapped a lap down. After the incident, we have 5 drivers out of the race: Ryan Butcher, Jesse Turner, Carter Friesen, Carson Gum, and Charles Sandfer. So Turner, Friesen, and Carson Gum will find themselves heading into Talladega a little bit behind the 8 ball in terms of trying to make it into the Final Four. Well, they really got wadded up behind the slower car of Benjamin Miles. Chris Dollerton going to move into 5th as a result, as the top 4 have been able to scamper away. Benny Watson, Jessica Shelton, Julius Anderson, and Austin LaPlante. But we are running the 2019 rules package, so the draft will definitely come into play. And it looks like Dollerton is quickly reeling these top 4 back in. Shelton and Watson side by side again for the race lead. Shelton's going to lead that lap. So right now for Jessica Shelton, Benny Watson, Chris Dollerton, I think they're just trying to finish out the race as best they can. Of course, remember, if any of our playoff drivers win here today, they automatically get a ticket into the next round, the Final Four at Homestead, Miami. Drop towards the rear of the field, find the 31 of D Poteet just to see if he is up to speed. He is still on the lead lap in the 32nd position. Looks like he is still running. Zach Rogers, who had that rear end damage after Jesse Turner got plowed by Carson Gum, he's in 26th. He is still running on the lead lap as well. So just trying to preserve as best he can, as they're 3 wide ahead of him there with Yepez, Millz, and J Gardner, the pole sitter, who I believe got the wall there off turn 4. So right now, I think that those two right there, Poteet and Rogers, they're just trying to salvage what they can. Poteet was actually towards the rear of the field in qualifying, and Zach Rogers with that damage he sustained. What they're trying to do right now is try and keep a buffer between themselves and the cars that DNF, Turner, Carson Gum, and Carter Friesen. The thing I find interesting, though, too, is that we had multiple playoff contenders get involved in that wreck, and so it's going to still make it interesting, because remember, you know, there's a win and you're in situation, but these drivers are basically vying to either be or above 4th in the standings, which would get them into the Final Four to compete at Homestead, Miami. So right now, I would say that spot would be held by Zach Rogers, who I believe is the 4th highest running playoff contender. D Poteet trying to pass him. That would put him in 4th and Rogers back in 5th. Depending on where Zach Rogers or D Poteet finish out this race in relation to the cars that DNF'd, there's still an opportunity that Turner, Carson Gum, or Carter Friesen could work their way up into the top 4 in next week's race at Talladega. Mitchell Collins now going to go to the race lead. Collins got eliminated from the playoffs in the last round. Our Kansas winner trying to get his 2nd win of the season. Trent Dunham now battling for 2nd place with Julius Anderson. And here comes the 77 of Seth Cole. Announcement made that Backmarker Motorsports will be going to Chevrolet Camaros next season. So you're seeing them in Toyota Camrys for the last time. J Jefferson right there with his teammate Julius Anderson. Nice run for a couple of the cars out of Unknown Motorsports. The team getting their first victory a couple weeks ago, courtesy of Diego Yepez at Lime Rock. Now Jefferson and Anderson trying to get their first career wins. Matter of fact, we're on a streak right now. 3 straight races. Drivers have gone to victory lane for their first career Duracell Cup Series victory. It started back at Hillside 3 weeks ago with R Brommer going to victory lane. Then 2 weeks ago at Lime Rock, it was Diego Yepez getting his first career win. And last week at Arizona, Matthew Rodriguez got the first win of his Duracell Cup Series career. 3 wide back here with Jordan Lopez, Benny Watson, and Julius Anderson. Anderson, Kyle Larsoning it through 3 and 4. Surprised that car didn't brush the wall. 2-time winner Jordan Lopez, he got eliminated as well from the chase for the championship in last week's elimination race at Arizona. As Trent Dunham will go to the race lead. Seth Cole will move into 2nd. 3rd place, J Jefferson. So right now, the top 3 of drivers that have not been to victory lane. Can the streak increase to 4? Another driver's just cracked the top 10. Jack Mitchell. He hasn't won yet this season. He's up in the 8th position, just bypassed Benny Watson. Watson right now, the highest of the playoff contenders. Jessica Shelton, the 2nd highest, right now in 10th, battling to keep that spot. Looks like Diego Yepez will take it. Zach Rogers right now is their 3rd highest running of the playoff drivers in the 21st position, despite that rear end damage. And right now, the driver that would be in the danger zone, well, not the danger zone, but on the hot seat of 4th in the standings would be Chris Dollerton in the 43. And remember, he went into last week's Arizona race as the driver on the hot seat in 8th place in the standings. And obviously came away with a good run and kept himself here in the hunt for the championship. D Poteet, I thought he was up to speed, but he's back in 33rd, and he has not made any forward progress, so that car might have some damage on it. I didn't think that he got involved in the wreck, but then again, maybe he did. He's in the 33rd position right now. And with him being in 33rd, and with the drivers out of the race, he would only be about 4 points ahead of Jesse Turner, 5 points ahead of Carter Friesen, and 6 points ahead of Carson Gum. That is still really, really close for those bottom four. Mitchell Collins way up the track there, and he's going to get in the wall, and Jack Mitchell gets spun to the inside. Oh, he's going to come back up the track. How did they miss him? How did they miss him? They split him 3 wide going into 1. How did that work? That should have been a wreck. What a save, first off, by Jack Mitchell, but what a tremendous job by everybody, giving him the room necessary to gather it back up. That should have been a wreck. That should have been a caution. Somehow it's not. We're still racing. That was maybe one of the best saves I've seen all season. Trent Dunham now moves into second behind the race leader Julius Anderson. Seth Cole trying to take third place away from Jordan Lopez, and you can see these drivers way up the track through 3 and 4 now as the tire heat and the tire wear is definitely coming into play. Jack Mitchell almost into the back of Seth Cole there. So difficult to judge everybody else's braking zones going into turn 1. We showed you that dip down area. And I can tell you from experience too. Well, I can also tell you from experience I'm in the wall. Caution's out. Caution is out for the second time here today, as we almost had a good battle heating up for the race lead between Julius Anderson and Trent Dunham. That caution should have come out about 5 laps sooner, but it didn't after the save we saw Jack Mitchell have. Yellow flag is out though. Kyle Matthews involved in this one, and he's already out of the race. He just took his car to the garage area. 4-time winner J Millz, who got eliminated from the playoffs last week at Arizona. He's on pit road. Matthew Rodriguez has got some front and rear end damage. He might have been collected up. And Cole Baker has got front end damage on his number 18, so he might have been privy to whatever brought out this yellow flag. Everybody's on pit road here as we are nearing the halfway point. Can they make it on fuel with this caution coming out when it did? We'll have to wait and see. For now, let's go back, take a look at a replay of what brought out the second caution of the day here at Boston. Coming off turn number 2 onto the back straightaway is where this incident takes place. Battle for around the 20th position. J Millz way up the track. Matthew Rodriguez trying to make the pass on him. Oh, and then it looks like J Millz came down just a little bit. Keith Batson gets him in the left rear quarter panel. That turns the 98 down into Matthew Rodriguez. 2 of them going to go spinning down to the inside of turn 3. And, oh, look at how Millz goes right back up the track. Nowhere for Baker to go. And then as Matt Rod slides up the track, he gets tagged by the 09 of Kyle Matthews. Levi McIntire might have gotten a little piece of that incident as well. And just innocent drivers, innocent bystanders taken out in this one like Baker and Matthews. And let's be honest, that was a wreck that probably could have easily been avoided. I mean, I understand that the CTS physics, it's the 2019 rules package, the side draft comes into play, but quite honestly, I'm not sure we should have really had that yellow flag take place. But it has drivers torn up now. J Millz, Matthew Rodriguez, Cole Baker, and Kyle Matthews. It's our second caution of the day. Let's go back for the green. Well, there will now be 2 drivers on the inside line to contend with. Benjamin Miles is now 2 laps down. J Millz 1 lap down to the race leader, which is Julius Anderson. 34 cars still running, 32 of them on the lead lap. Out of the race after that incident is the 09 of Kyle Matthews. So Cole Baker, Matthew Rodriguez, and J Millz all able to continue after the incident. Anderson will restart the leader over Trent Dunham. Jack Mitchell is 3rd. 4th is J Jefferson. 5th, Benny Watson. He is the highest running playoff driver. He's the only playoff driver inside the top 10 right now. Then the rest of the top 10 completed by Mitchell Collins, Jordan Lopez, Diego Yepez, T Wright, and Seth Cole. Green flag back in the air. So Benny Watson up in 6th. Let's find out where the rest of the playoff contenders restart. J Shelton back in 12th place. Chris Dollerton is 20th. Zach Rogers in 21st. Dylan Poteet back in 30th. And the cars out of the race. Jesse Turner, Carter Friesen, and Carson Gum. Battle for the lead. Very quickly won by Trent Dunham. Why do I feel like I'm missing somebody in the running order. No, I'm not. Okay. I guess because I had already counted Benny Watson. I thought that I was missing somebody in the running order. Benny Watson's in the middle right now with Jordan Lopez and Julius Anderson. That was a 3 wide down the back straightaway, which fortunately settled itself out through 3 and 4. As Trent Dunham leads the way, now battles for the lead. J Jefferson down on the inside line. And I was going to state that I've driven this track. I've got experience at this track. And really, it's all about having the long-run car. Preserving your tires, waiting until everybody else uses up their stuff, and then being able to run them down as the run progresses on. But it doesn't look like really anybody, at least up here at the front, is holding back. As J Jefferson still trying to get the race lead from Trent Dunham, but Trent able to get that outside line working just the least little bit. He might have to give way here in turn 3, though. Drove it in deep into turn 3, trying to still use the momentum on the outside line. Tries to pull alongside of J Jefferson, and he still's there. So Trent has found a second groove. And as soon as I say that, he's found a third and fourth groove in turn 1, and he's going to lose some spots. 3 wide behind them, that's Diego Yepez, Mitchell Collins, and Jack Mitchell. That is 3 wide for the 6th position. Actually, that's for 5th place, rather. As Jordan Lopez going for the race lead. Jordan Lopez got the last round of the playoffs off to a very slow start. Finished off the lead lap at Hillside and never really recovered. Got eliminated from the round of 8. And now trying to pick up his 3rd win of the season as a bit of a consolation prize. Benny Watson up here at the front, the only playoff driver up inside the top 10 currently, and he knows what's at stake. If he wins here today, he goes into the wild card race of Talladega. He goes into the tire-eating Rockingham worry-free, knowing he will compete for the Duracell Cup Series Championship. Trent Dunham, though, back to the race lead. It's about the 3rd or 4th time I've seen Trent go back to the front, so he's got one of the stronger cars in this field. Trying to get his first win of the season, first win of his career, and first win for Sega Motorsports, as both he and V Almariego have been kept out of victory lane so far this year. Pretty impressed with Unknown Motorsports here, though. All 4 of their cars are right now up inside the top 10. Yepez in 2nd, Jefferson in 3rd, Anderson in 8th, and as soon as I say that, Matt Haas just fell out of the top 10. He was 10th last time by. There he is, trapped on that outside line, so he's now actually falling back. Levi McIntire battling with Trey Wright. That is for 9th, I believe. McIntire has been, and I say this in quotes, involved in our 2 cautions today. He got slowed up by the first wreck on the front straightaway, although I don't think he really hit anybody. Then he made a little bit of contact with Cole Baker and J Millz with the wreck they had over in turn 3, but he's still running up here inside of the top 10. So obviously the damage he sustained was not exactly that bad. Chris Dollerton right now is the 2nd highest running playoff contender, as he is just outside of the top 10. He's back in the front of that 2nd group. Battle for 2nd, Jack Mitchell and Diego Yepez. This all going on behind the Sonic All-Stars Chevrolet of Trent Dunham, and look at this, maybe 3 wide going into turn 1. Nope, it's actually going to just be double wide for the 3rd position between Benny Watson and Jack Mitchell. Mitchell couldn't quite get to the inside of Diego Yepez, coming out of turn 4 and onto the front straightaway. So up here at the front, if you go back to 8th place Julius Andersson, we've only got 4 former winners in this lead group. Diego Yepez, Benny Watson, Jordan Lopez, and Mitchell Collins. So 50% of the top 8 have been to victory lane, 50% have not. And we're about to have a battle between one of the 50%ers and another of the 50%ers. Trent Dunham with our winner from Lime Rock, Diego Yepez. They will battle for the race lead. I thought we might have had a wreck back there, as there was a huge gap of space behind 3rd place Benny Watson. Now remember, all these drivers came to pit road back on lap 30. So they are at least able to make it 30 laps on fuel. But when we went back green, we were somewhere around 40 laps remaining. So can they make it 40 laps on fuel, or will we see these drivers all having to hit pit lane in the closing stages of this race? That is provided we go green the rest of the way. We have had 2 cautions so far here today, and we may not have seen our last one, dependent on if these drivers can keep it together, especially with when these tires start to get really worn and these drivers are screaming for grip. J Millz will go down another lap, so that will put him -2. Trent Dunham and J Yepez making very quick work of him on the front straightaway. Let's see how third place Benny Watson's able to deal with him. Watson's going to drive it down to the inside, and J Millz got in the way and nearly got turned for his troubles. That was a close call there. See if any other traffic will have to be dealt with. Benjamin Miles leaving turn 4. Trent Dunham just now leaving turn 2. So you got a whole half lap, half racetrack before you get to the next car. So I don't think, at least for now, we're going to have to deal with slower traffic being in the way of the race leaders, which right now is just a mano-y-mano between Trent Dunham and J Yepez. Then it's a ways back to 3rd, back to 7th, with J Jefferson, Mitchell Collins, Benny Watson, Jordan Lopez, and Jack Mitchell. You've seen how these drivers are running inside and extreme outside lines as well as the middle groove, so I don't think there's really a whole lot of opportunity for the 2019 rules package to come into play as far as draft is concerned for this group to run down the top 2. It's not really that long of straightaways, it's more corners than anything, kind of almost like Dover where you're in the corner more than you're on the straightaway. And as they continue to battle for 3rd place, that just allows 1st and 2nd to get away. And now J Yepez says, all right, we've got about a 2.5 gap back to 3rd place. Let's settle it, you and me, for this top position. He gives Trent Dunham that outside line, and Trent's been pretty good on that top side, especially off the corner. But it looks like Yepez might have him cleared down here into turn 3. Trent drives it really deep. Tries to make it stick. It does stick, but he did have to lift a little bit in the center of the corner. But look at the run he gets off turn 4. Crosses over, back to the inside in turn 1. Boy, Trent's got himself a really good race car. I have not seen a driver be able to keep it on that outside line and then drive it down to the bottom with that much momentum off turn 4 this entire race. Although J Yepez, pretty good run off turn 4 with the outside line as well. And as these drivers battled side by side, it kind of has stayed about a 2.5 back to 3rd place. So right now, Benny Watson, the highest driver of the playoff contenders, in 7th, the only one inside the top 10, looking like he's in really good shape going into Talladega at least, as far as the playoff points are concerned. Got to go a long ways back before you get to the next playoff contender, which is Dylan Poteet. Nice comeback for him, as he's right now in the 17th position, trying to take 16th away from Matt Haas. Chris Dollerton is the 3rd highest runner in 19th place. Where the heck did Jessica Shelton go is my question. She was up there not too long ago. 24th is the 4th highest running Zach Rogers. And Jessica Shelton's all the way back here in 30th now. So right now she would be the 5th highest running playoff contender, and right now be the first driver in an elimination spot, along with the other 3 contenders that are out of the race, those being Carter Friesen, Jesse Turner, and Carson Gum. Getting close to 15 laps to go here at Boston International Speedway. The gap has increased between the top 2 and 3rd place by another 0.2. So unless pit road comes into play in the closing stages of this race, it's going to come down between Trent Dunham and J Yepez. And I would have to maybe give the slight advantage to Trent Dunham as to who has the better race car. Yepez looking for what would be his 2nd win in 3 races, as he won 2 weeks ago at Lime Rock. And we mentioned Trent Dunham trying to win the first race of the season, not only as a driver, but also as a team owner. I am hearing engines up ahead. That is Benjamin Miles just now leaving turn 4, so what was about half the racetrack between the leaders and the 25 has now become just about maybe a corner. So Benjamin Miles might be a factor into the outcome of this race. in just a matter of a few laps. Let's actually look at the lap times here. Trent Dunham, his fastest lap was a 22.319. He's now running 23.2s. That is 9/10 off his fastest lap. He actually just ran a 23.4. So that is more than a full second. That's 1.1 seconds slower than his fastest lap. As J Yepez, who ran a 23.3, he's going to try and take the race lead back away from Trent Dunham. Let's see if Trent's able to use that crossover here out of turn 4 again. We may have brushed the wall, but his momentum still kept up. Can he get to the inside? Yes, he can. There's Benjamin Miles. I think I just saw him in the same camera shot as the leaders, so they are closing in on him, and Trent will go back to the lead. So it seems like for J Yepez, he can pass Trent Dunham, but as soon as he does, Trent Dunham's got an answer, and he takes the lead right back away from the zero. Well, 1 may be the loneliest number, but it's not lonely right now because J Yepez has not let Trent Dunham get away. 2 of them have scampered away from 3rd place, which right now is in the hands of Benny Watson, but that is more than 2.5 seconds back. And it will be 10 laps to go this time by for Trent Dunham and J Yepez as they close in on the 25 of Benjamin Miles. Where are they going to go? They're going to catch him here in turns 1 and 2. Maybe they'll be lucky and catch him on the backstretch. Looks like they will. So Benjamin Miles moves up high, yields to the race leaders. It looks like Trent Dunham and J Yepez will bypass him without any issue. Next car they'll catch is going to be the 98 of J Millz, and we saw that he didn't exactly have a lot of lap car courtesy. He did for Trent and J Yepez, but that was only because they caught him on a straightaway. He came down and blocked Benny Watson when Watson encountered him. So we'll see what he does here with the race leaders as Trent Dunham kicked up to the high side again. Boy, I just can't help but be impressed with that crossover he's able to make out of turn 4 and then going into turn 1. That time, though, he looked like he didn't have quite as much momentum as he has the last couple of times. I think he almost brushed the wall out of turn 4, had to lift a little bit, and that killed some of his forward momentum. And what in the world's going on there? Is Trent slowing? Oh, he's coming to pit road! Oh, boy! We got a fuel strategy race, people! Trent Dunham, who was battling for the lead, he's on pit lane. Who's going to roll the dice here? Is anybody going to risk it and try and stay out all the way to the end? Looks like J Yepez is pitting this time. This is going to get good. Mitchell Collins stays out, as does Adam Garcia, so the top 2 have pitted. 3rd place on back stay out. Battle for the lead between teammates now. Where did Adam Garcia come from? He'll take the race lead away from his teammate Collins. And now when do these drivers pit as we're closing in on 5 laps to go? Looks like J Jefferson may be pitting. Garcia's going to pit. And Benny Watson's going to stay out. Watson stays out. Everybody else comes to pit lane. Is anybody else besides the 75 going to roll the dice? No, it is only Benny Watson. I mean, he was already in a good position to make a clear case of getting himself into the round of 4. I think he wants to go for the victory. And now he'll hit pit lane. So now we've got to follow and see where did J Yepez and Trent Dunham both come out. There is the 0 of J Yepez. Let's see where he's going to be in relation to the 1 of Trent Dunham. Those were the 2 that were battling for the lead before the pit stops began. Everyone has hit pit lane. Where is Trent? I don't see him. He's going to come out in 3rd. Behind Adam Garcia. Boy, he lost a lot of ground to J Yepez. But now what about the 75 of Watson? Where is he? There he is, just now leaving pit road. And J Yepez is going to take the race lead back. So the 0 team got it done on pit road. Trent Dunham's team did not, as Watson tries to get back out on track here. 2nd place right now is Adam Garcia over Trent Dunham in 3rd. Watson's going to cycle to 4th. And this battle for 2nd is going on 3 seconds behind J Yepez with about 2.5 laps to go. Trent Dunham's going to clear Adam Garcia, but does he have enough time to run down the 0 car? I don't think he does. He's going to have to really close it up here in these final 2 laps. 2 laps to go. It was 3.17 back to second. It's now down to 2.2, so he closed it up by 9/10. Trent, we know, has a faster car than Diego Yepez. Yepez ran a 24.303. Trent ran a 23.327, so he was over a second faster that lap. Can he close the distance up enough? I think the caution may be out. It is, and that will end the race. Caution is out. The race is over. We got a lot of drivers down on the inside line of the front stretch and the turn 1 area. The yellow flag will wave, and if we had a battle for the win, we're not going to get to see it. Diego Yepez will be winning his 2nd race of the season, and it will take place here under caution at the Boston International Speedway. I saw J Shelly on the apron. Thought I might have seen the 98 of J Millz. Our NSCRA split cam will show you what brought out this, our latest caution that's going to end the race under yellow. And in 3 weeks, Diego Yepez gets his 2nd win of the season, taking the checkered flag here tonight, or here today, I should say, at Boston. At Boston. So Trent Dunham, his team dropped the ball on pit road, and he cut down the lead between himself and Yepez by about a 1/2 and a 1/10 each lap, which means he would have at least been on Diego Yepez's back bumper coming to the checkers, but I don't know if he could have gotten that Citgo Chevrolet for the race win. So he'll come up just short, and Diego Yepez didn't have to worry about holding off Trent Dunham on that final lap with the aid of that late yellow flag. Standings should be official now. And Diego Yepez will get the 2nd win of the season, not only for himself, but for Unknown Motorsports. Trent Dunham brings it home in 2nd. Benny Watson, he's going to have a nice bunch of breathing space heading into Talladega as he finishes, 14 positions ahead of the next highest finishing chase driver, that being Zach Rogers down in 17th. How about the teammates there? Adam Garcia, Mitchell Collins, great run for them in 4th and 5th. Jack Mitchell, after that tremendous save, he gets a top 10 in 6th. J Jefferson was 7th, Jordan Lopez 8th, Vince Almariego 9th, so both the Sega Motorsports cars in the top 10. How about Keith Batson? Great run for that single car entry in the 10th position. You look on down the remainder of the finishing results, and you'll see the rest of our playoff contenders outside the top 15. Zach Rogers in 17th, Chris Dollerton in 18th. Dylan Poteet actually finished a lap down. He might have actually been involved in that wreck. He finishes in 27th. Jessica Shelton finishes a lap down in 30th. And the good news for Turner, Friesen, and Carson Gum, who all finished out of the race, are that Poteet and Shelton struggled. So they're going to be at least within striking distance for those 3 at Talladega to maybe move themselves up into one of the final 4 positions. They needed some of the other playoff drivers to struggle, and just about all of them did, with the exception of Benny Watson. So that is going to do it here today from Boston International Speedway. What a race that was. And that was just one of 3 very difficult tracks that these Elite 8 are having to traverse in their quest to make it into the Final 4. So the race of adaptation is over. We've got the race of situation and the race of conservation coming up to complete out this round. Diego Yepez, 3 starts, 2 wins in the last 3 weeks as he gets the checkered flag here today. Congrats to him. Hope you guys enjoyed today's race here from Boston. If you did, be sure to give us a like, subscribe, become part of the crew today. We've shown you full finishing results. And these are your point standings heading into the wild card race, Talladega Super Speedway. That one's going to be crazy. You're not going to want to miss it. These are also your updated playoff points heading into that race, and we will see you guys next week. You've been watching a production of the NNSCRA Offline Racing at its best. So long from Boston.